So this is Adam D'Amico of Lorna Shore, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
So good to see you again. I've interviewed you quite a few times. The last time at the Canal, the Canal Club here in Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
How you been?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Where are you guys located when you're not on the road?
The Garden State, New Jersey.
Oh, okay. I'm originally from Long Island, so not too far from
hell yeah.
Down in Richmond now. So before I even get started, I've got to tell you, To the Hellfire is probably one of the heaviest things I've heard in the last few years, if not forever. That sucker is a beast.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's definitely a heavy track. That's the point of it. So I'm glad that it
oh my God,
being received that way.
What has been the feedback to it so far?
Pretty much that. It's been awesome. People think it's our best work to date, which is that's always good feedback for us because with each release we want to do better than the last release. I mean, we're only in competition with ourselves. So if we are outdoing our last release, then I'm satisfied. So. It's just basically been an overwhelmingly positive response. People are enjoying the song. People are enjoying Will. So overall, seems to be awesome. And,
so I don't know if you can tell me. I don't know if you could tell me this or if this is a spoiler or not. But I haven't heard the rest of the record yet. Is the rest of the record the same, or follow?
No, it's actually not. No, it's actually not. We didn't. If we did 3 Hellfire songs, it would take away from Hellfire. So I think that the album is meant to be diverse. It's meant to show all sides of the band. When we were writing the EP, I think we wanted to display different elements of the band. And I think that when we sat down and, was brainstorming the EP, the song that ended up coming out to be Hellfire, we want to start the record off with like a dark, heavy song that's really a good display of vocals. And that's kind of what we did. It was like we wanted to write a heavy song that was dark, that was a good song to allow a vocalist to shine on. And the other 2 songs are not like that. And I think for a good reason. I think it shows the diversity of the band. If we wrote 3 Hellfires, it would be kind of lame. The other 2 would just kind of feel like, why would I listen to the other 2 when it's exactly like Hellfire? The other 2 are different from each other as well as different from Hellfire. So I think if you are a fan of the band and like different elements of the band, there is something for you on that EP. And if you prefer a song like Hellfire and you don't like the other ones, then cool, just listen to Hellfire. And if you like other elements of the band, that's more present in the other songs. And in my opinion, I think Hellfire is the weakest of the songs as far as songwriting perspective. Not in the sense of like what's heavy, because I mean, I don't think that makes a good song. I don't think that makes a good song. I think as far as from a songwriting perspective, the other 2 songs, in my opinion, are stronger. The thing that's strong about the Hellfire song is that it's a good display of vocals. So for us to unveil a new vocalist, that's a good song to open with. But if we already had a vocalist and we already unveiled him, that wouldn't be a song we would lead with. It would be one of the 2 other songs.
What was the first of all, how long did it take you to find the right vocalist? And then what was it like getting used to writing with a new partner or new person? So
I think it was like a longer process considering the fact that like how the world kind of shaped up. So when we basically found Will as a fill-in for Europe. And I wanted to kind of test the waters to see how he would be before, putting someone in the band, because I just want to make sure like, okay, how would you be in the, my 2 things were how would you be in the live element? So how would you be performing live? Also, how would you be on the road with each other? Would we enjoy being around you? Would you hang out with other people?
All important stuff, right?
Yeah, those are all important stuff. It's not just like going on stage for 30 minutes performing and like then you're a good vocalist. It's like, how do I want to be with you those other 23 and a half hours? Do I want to, how are you with the fans? Do you offer help? Like, what is it that you do? Because we're not a band that has 5 crew members. Like, we're a band that pretty much goes out by ourselves. So if you're not willing to help with some of the load, it's just like, I kind of need that extra help. We can't always afford to bring out crew. So it's like, are you willing to do the other extra effort? And he was willing to do all that sort of stuff. So it was great. And then the other thing outside of the touring element is the studio element, because yes, you can perform and you can perform someone else's material, but like, how would it be if we gave you a blank Lorna Shore song? What would you write about? What would you sound like? Would you make the song? Would you tie in the song or whatever? And that was kind of my final test for Will, or for anyone who's going to be the vocalist. It was like, but for Will specifically, it was like, let's see how this would be. And he like knocked it out of the park. And it was really fun to watch him work because he worked really hard. And I think we all work really hard. So, when we were there for 2 weeks, he was every day in Studio B at Josh's studio, just like demoing out vocals. Like, even though he wasn't recording vocals that day, he was like, let me just try ideas, let me try lyrics, let me try patterns. Even if he didn't use it or not, the fact that he was working every day at that was just awesome for me to watch, because it just shows like your hard work and your effort, and you're just trying to make this right. And that's really good, because we all have that same effort, myself, Andrew, and Austin. So it was just cool to witness that. It was cool to see that. And it just showed like, okay, this guy obviously puts in effort. He wants to be here. He's excited to be here. He's very grateful to be here. So it's just like awesome to be in the studio with him. And that like kind of was the final like piece that we needed, was like, okay, cool. Like, in the studio, you're here, you put in the work, you're open to us giving suggestions, you're open to trying things out, you're open to, suggestions from a producer that we hire for that reason. So like, It was just really, really awesome to see him work, and it felt very seamless. We didn't have to hold his hand. I mean, we obviously gave suggestions, but like, that's what you're supposed to do within a band, but we didn't have to like hold his hand. It was just more so like, hey, why don't you try this? And that works. And he was like, this is cool. So it was really, really easy to work with. And I think on all aspects of it. So it's been, it was just awesome. So that's cool. All I can really say about that.
No, that's great. You guys all write together, and how did you deal with it during the pandemic? Because obviously you weren't, I don't think you could be together.
Yeah. So actually during the pandemic, I was living in North Carolina. So for the greater portion of last year, I was down in the South. And, when we knew we were going to do the EP was maybe around July, August, so around this time. And what I was doing was just writing a bunch of ideas beforehand anyway. And then I would come up to New Jersey to visit like friends and family. And then when I would come up, like we would, myself, Andrew, and Austin would kind of just like go over some ideas and brainstorm some stuff. So at first, like before I moved back to New Jersey in the fall, I was just coming up every month for like a week at a time. And we were kind of just like, just hashing out ideas. And then when I actually moved up officially back in like October, November, is when we were finishing the stuff, because we went to the studio in November. So it was just a lot of like back and forth. There was a lot of sending ideas. It was a lot of that stuff. So it was making do with the times. But I mean, it's not really hard, because we kind of already do that stuff anyway, even before the pandemic. Is you send ideas back and forth.
Right.
You obviously can't get, even if the pandemic didn't happen, I was living in North Carolina, so we would have to learn how to adopt to sending ideas back and forth and doing stuff like that. So it was pretty easy. And then we, for 2 weeks in November before we went to the studio, we really did a bulk of the work, which was myself, Andrew, and Austin. And we wrote, we needed to do 3 songs, so we ended up finishing 6 or 7 songs, and had a bunch of other ideas left over. So we went into the studio super prepared, and pretty much spent the first 3 days in the studio trying to figure out what 3 songs do we want to use and whatnot.
Right. When you guys are writing, are you well, 2 questions. First, when you're writing, are you writing with the live setting in mind, like how the song is going to sound on stage, or are you writing the song for the song's sake and then figuring it out later?
Always for the song's sake. Most people listen to songs with, not in a live environment. If I don't come to your town, how else do you witness the song?
Right.
And I think we always figure it out after. We're mindful of it, but at the end of the day, it's like I care more about getting the song proper than being like, whoa, how is it going to be live? It's like, we'll figure it out. If it means running a track for this sound, or if it means, doing something else for this thing, or I will play this thing, or whatever it may be. Like, I'm more concerned about getting the sound to be right. And because I think that's how most people consume music. Sometimes people see a band once a year, but they'll listen to a song 12 months out of the year.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, I want to get that right, then worry about, getting it perfect for the live environment.
Right.
We can always figure it out.
What about, is there a message or something you want your fans to take away from after listening to a Lorna Shore record, or specifically this EP?
What I just want anyone to take away is to find something that you enjoy. And I think a lot of things nowadays is more so people complaining about what they don't like, rather than spending time talking about what they do like. And I think that just what I would like to see people in music is just champion the stuff they like, and just disregard the stuff they don't like. So if there's stuff that we write that you don't like, cool. Find something that you do like, whether it's our band, whether it's another band. I think that I just see so much negativity around consumption of music, where it's like, oh, I don't like this, I prefer this, I prefer that. It's like, just because you have an ability to speak on this stuff doesn't mean it's necessary, because you're just wasting this energy talking about something that's irrelevant. And I know we all want to be heard. I know we all want our voices to be heard. But like, wouldn't you rather spend time consuming stuff that you enjoy rather than complaining about something that you don't like? So that's just kind of what I hope for music consumption in general.
I think it's so easy now, especially even in the last year, when everybody's sitting in front of their keyboards, they're keyboard warriors, and they can do whatever the hell they want, and there's no repercussions. But it does have some sort of repercussion, I think, down the road, because, like you said, instead of talking shit about some band, you could be boosting the ones you like who actually need the help.
Exactly. You're just wasting your time. You decided to make a choice that you complaining about something you don't like is more important than you talking about the things that you do like. And I just think that, to me, when I don't like something, I just click X out and I never talk about it.
Right. Move on and just.
Exactly. I'd rather share about stuff that I like. And not for nothing, just like for me as an artist, it's tiring to see. I'm tired to get messages. I'm tired of getting backhanded messages being like, oh, I just love this last record, so like, why'd you do this? It's like, I know you're trying to give me a compliment, but it's very backhanded. And it's like, if you just have a preference for an old record, awesome, own it, and I'm happy that you enjoy it. But to make me feel like I'm a puppet unit and have to keep creating that, you're barking up the wrong tree. Maybe someone else will do that, but like, I'm going to be an autonomous person and do the things that I want to do. So just because you have access to me doesn't mean you have the ability to tell me what to do. And I just want to find people to find the distinction. Just because you can message the band, just because you can message the individual member, just because you can complain on the internet, doesn't mean it's something the route to always take. And I just question people, or ask people to question themselves, why am I doing this? What am I trying to get out of it? And I think, is there a better way to be more positive in this world that's also filled with so much negativity? And I just feel I'd rather champion the things that I enjoy than shit on the things that I don't like, because it might be something enjoyable to somebody else. So why take that away from someone else and rather than be like, let me build up things that I enjoy, because like, I care more about building up the metal community than dismantling the things that I don't like. And it just seems a waste.
I 100% agree with you. So you kind of touched on it there for a second, but do you consciously go into writing a new record thinking about the same sort of stuff you've written in the past, or not trying to write the same record? Are you always trying to expand, or do you think about staying with what your fans would like and they're used to?
I'm never thinking about the fans. Not that I don't appreciate them.
Right. No, I know what you're saying. Right.
It's like, I can't control the fans. I can't control the fans' taste. So the metaphor that I always use is that you can be the best piece of Wagyu beef, a cow that was bred for you, and that was, made just for you, and it's like this $500 piece of steak, and there's someone out there who just literally does not like steak. And it just shows that, like, I can't control your taste, and it doesn't matter how good you can be, there's someone out there that doesn't like it. So it's just like, when I think about that, why not just make myself happy and write the music that we want to write?
Right.
And I guess the way that I approach it is like, I look at past catalogs, like, okay, in a very simple debrief of what was working, what wasn't working, and what do I get to add. So it's just like, okay, looking at the past catalog, okay, what was cool about the past catalog? Okay, what was stuff that I liked? All right, cool. What was stuff that like maybe fell short? And it's like, and why did it fall short?
Right.
And then it's like, and if it did fall short, can I improve upon it? Or it did fall short because like, what was other reasons? And then what do I get to add? It's like, what didn't we do on the past record that I want to do? Or what didn't we do what did we miss? Or what, whatever it may be. So I'm always constantly looking at the past records to use as lessons, but like, I'm not like, oh, let me just replicate that. It's more so just like, what about it did I enjoy that I want to do again? Or what about it didn't I do that I feel like I want to add? Or what about it that like kind of didn't go over well that like I want to improve upon? So it's like, I'm using it as lessons, but I'm just also trying to focus on like, what else do I want to do? What else do I want to create? What sounds do I want to have? And what am I not hearing in the music world that I want to bring to the table? Because that's kind of always what Lorna Shore has always been, is just like, what itches are not being scratched when I listen to music that like I wish was there. You listen to a band, you're like, man, this is cool, but I wish there was more of X, or I wish there was Y, or I wish there was Z or whatever, or there's too much of this that I wish was like that. And I think about that when I listen to music and go like, well, now I have the ability to do it. I have a platform to do it on. So instead of me going on the internet complaining that so-and-so band doesn't do this thing, I can just get information. I can just do it myself.
Right. That makes 100% sense. So what do you guys have planned for the live? Are you taking this out on the road now that things are opening up?
So we have 4 shows in August around the release of the EP. So the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. And we're playing, we're releasing the EP on those shows. Obviously, we're on those shows of playing the EP and playing some older songs. But I think the bulk of touring is going to be next year, and because we're also focused on doing LP number 4. So I think that's our plan this year is we're going into the studio in November. So I think from now till November is to working on the new record, because we want to just maintain the momentum and put out new material and have a new record out next year.
So then by the time touring comes around, you'll have the EP and the new record to tour on.
Exactly.
That'd be perfect. Mm-hmm. That's all I've got. Did I miss anything at all?
Do you have any?
Thank you, my friend. Good seeing you again.
You got to take care.
Stay safe. Be well. All right. Later.
Yeah,
bye.
If you want to date, you're all good then.
Ever wonder what a punch from Elton John feels like?
Or how you'd cope with having turned down the chance to be in Nirvana?
or what signal Keith Richards gives when he wants you to get the hell out of his hotel room.
Fans of Too Much Effing Perspective don't have to wonder, because they've heard these exact stories and a jillion others on our podcast. I'm Alex Hoffman, former tour manager for Radiohead.
And I'm musician and comedy writer Alan Keller. On the TMEP show, we get guests like Nancy Wilson from Heart, Jeremiah Freites from the Lumineers, and Modern Family's Julie Bowen to tell us things they may have only shared with their therapist, clergy, or a TMZ stringer.
So join us on Too Much Effing Perspective. That's EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.